the police indicated that they had the murder on video. That's not so.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me what happened in court today.
Well, actually, yesterday, the Crown completed their application to have the statements of two main witnesses read into evidence by way of the Evidence Act, which means essentially that because the witnesses weren't coming, they wanted to read the statement into evidence without the witness actually being there. So that was going on from last week, and essentially our argument was that the police have not really done enough to secure the presence of these witnesses.
Mm-hmm.
Because what the Act really allows for is that all reasonable steps need to be taken before the judge can then decide whether or not the statement can go in. There were some circumstances where it was clear that the police really didn't look for these witnesses. There are persons who are affiliated with the witnesses, their family members, place of address, and the police didn't check. As it relates to one particular witness, from the very early stages we had indicated that we had some concerns about the identity of this witness. Not that the witness didn't exist per se, because I'm sure that there was a real person who had given that statement, but as to that person's identity is
Right.
what we were trying to ascertain. To no avail. A statement from a particular witness indicated that she had asked the witness about an identification card, some form of identity, and he says that he had lost it. All of our checks throughout the trial proved that the witness had no birth certificate, the witness had no TRN, the witness was not on the voters ID, voters list anywhere. The three schools that he indicated he attended, there is no record of that witness. There's no record of that person born on that day to those particular parents, which is really what the test would be. I am John Brown, my date of birth is X, these are my parents, I have born and grew up in a particular area, and there is no record of this person. So the judge was really left to determine whether or not he wanted to accept the say-so of this witness, based on the fact that the police were saying they really had no fixed place of address for this witness, so we couldn't find him. And that is really what the case turned on yesterday. And then today the judge just entered a formal verdict. Well, instructed the jury to enter a formal verdict of not guilty. So as far as this case is concerned, he has been found not guilty.
No way it can come back.
Murder.
It's done.
That's the end of the matter.
Amazing.
That's the end of it.
After 2 years plus, this was what the prosecution had to offer. It seems like, you know, for all this time the man has been behind bars, there must have been a great preponderance of evidence or some reason to hold him for all this time. Were you surprised that that was all they brought to the table?
No, but I think we spoke about this before. I think you and I had a conversation about this before, as to what the strength of the evidence against him in any of these cases. And I think at the time, you know, there was this sort of media frenzy about him being charged for something else, multiple murder charges, this sort of thing. And at the end of the day, he was only really charged for 2 counts of murder, 2 separate murders. And sometime later, he was charged for the offense of attempting to pervert the course of justice in relation to one of those murders. From our position from day one was very clear. We didn't believe that they had any witnesses. We didn't believe that the police were investigating the matter properly. And in relation to the second offense, it's really a circumstantial case.
This is the one that's still to be heard.
The one that is still pending. The Crown will not even be in a position to say that this person is really dead.
Really?
Absolutely.
Can you explain that a little more?
Yeah.
All right. The basis of that offense is a number of persons, to include Adidja Palmer, beat somebody to death. There's no IC witness to the incident. So all the witness says is that he was in the company of this person, he ran, left the person there, and has not seen him since. That is the height of the Crown's case. There is no body, there's no DNA evidence, there's no video, there's no pictures. I think we had spoken about
We heard about video,
Yes,
camera
There's
phones.
none of that. There's none of that.
What, can you, I mean, I know I'm asking you to postulate, but can you sort of think as to why within the public's consciousness there was this sort of sense that very specific things were being discussed in terms of evidence, like the camera phone, you know, like the fact that these were, you know, there were all of these different incidents, there were all of these different witnesses.
Right. When we made the bail application the last time, we looked at the issue of the police using the media to prejudice his status as a fit and proper candidate for bail. So, from the very outset, the police indicated that they had the murder on video. That's not so.
Mm-hmm.
We brought that to the attention of the judge. They then indicated that they had done some DNA sample testing and that it created a link between Adidja Palmer and the murder.
Mm-hmm.
That is not so. They then came and said that they had, I believe, some text messages, some sort of admission on his behalf via text messages. That is not so. And every time we went to court to make an application for bail for him, we heard about something new that they had that was going to be used to strengthen the Crown's case. And none of it has turned out to be true. We brought that to the attention of the judge. And they said, well, he has another murder case. So here it is. He's left with only one. Mm-hmm. None of what the prosecution has said is true. And we're of the view that he should be offered bail. Whether we'll make another application now or in the near future is something that he'll have to instruct us on. But it's definitely an option at this stage.
Can you comment a little bit on the fact that, you know, Vybz Kartel as an entertainer is not the only entertainer who has been jailed for long periods of time before any trial or before any bail hearing? Can you comment on the justice system's treatment of entertainers from the point of when they are charged with a particular crime through to a situation like this?
He would be in custody now for almost 3 years, mm-hmm. I believe. In the ordinary course of things, you would expect that a person would be tried within about 2 years, mm-hmm. because the matter would be at the preliminary inquiry stage at the resident magistrate's court. It may very well spend somewhere between 6 or 8 months at that stage. It is then sent to the circuit court, where he may very well spend another year before the matter is properly dealt with. There are circumstances where people spend up to 4 and 5 years without a trial for one reason or the other. But in this case, because we were of the view that what the police were doing to him was wrong, we pushed for an early trial. Now, it is somewhat of a special case because he had another charge pending. Mm-hmm. So the mere fact that he has been in custody for almost 3 years is not in and of itself excessive, in other words. But we were of the view that he needs to be tried quickly. And we think that in this case, even though people may form the view that it is still long, our position was, look, you can take all the time you want to find whatever witnesses you want, but give us bail so he can go and make a living. Mm-hmm. You know, so we're back. That's the position that we're back to here now, as it relates to his bail.
Do you feel like there's something more than just a shoddy investigation going on here? That there's maybe a vendetta at work or something? I mean, Kartel had a very well-known disagreement with a former police officer and promoter shortly before he was
I have
arrested.
heard that before.
Yeah.
I think that because of really how the cases have been progressing, I think that you could definitely draw that conclusion. I can't say one way or the other what the problem is or where it's coming from, but I think that looking at how the cases have been compiled and looking at how they have progressed, particularly with the witnesses in this case, I would say that there is an ulterior motive. There is something behind what the police are doing, and quite frankly, for me, if you don't like the way he looks or you don't like the music he sings, that's one thing. But don't try to keep a man in custody in order to almost censor his image and his music. Essentially what we're saying is here you have a statement from somebody who says that they witnessed this crime, and there's no record of them anywhere.
Right,
so what it really suggests is that there is some malfeasance on behalf of the police.
Fabricated.
I mean, who is this person? And I think to date we haven't been able to ascertain that. So the question really is, why is it that the state would allow the police to operate in that way while the man is in custody?
Yeah.
If there is concerns about that and it's raised and it's legitimate, offer him bail and you can iron it out. It's not, logically, it just doesn't make sense, how they're proceeding.
Didn't I read a week or two ago that there was some testimony in court from people who either had heard something or, not an eyewitness per se, but I read a story that there was some person in court giving testimony?
The procedure would be that the investigating officer, who is the one that had taken the statements from these witnesses, he would start to give his evidence.
Okay,
so the case
officer
would have started.
Okay.
And halfway through, he would say, I cannot find witness A and witness B. And what you would enter into is a voir dire, which really equates to a trial within a trial. So you would stop his testimony, and he would then give evidence as to steps that he has taken to try and find these witnesses.
Okay.
So that is the stage that we had reached, where the judge said, essentially, that you haven't done what you need to do.
So the testimony was made by a police officer, not by any actual witness.
Right,
in the court.
right.
Okay.
So he would just be considered like a formal witness. He would be the one that would have investigated the matter, take statements from witnesses, that sort of thing. So.
There's another person in lockup with Kartel. Everything that goes for Kartel now, is it the same thing with that individual?
Which person? Sean Storm?
Is it Sean Storm? That's it.
No, because he's not charged in this case. He wasn't charged, he's in the other one.
Right.
So November again is when he would come to court.
And I guess this is the thing with the media. They basically group everybody in one thing, and so they come and they report, so they make it seem as if everybody is in one situation. So that's something.
I think that definitely has been a challenge for the defense from day one, because we also felt that other persons in the case were being prejudiced by the sort of media frenzy about what they had on tape and DNA evidence and all of this sort. And I think that it really has put the other persons that are charged with him at a disadvantage. Decisions were made in terms of separating the legal team and bringing in other attorneys to address those issues with their respective clients. So I think we've made some amount of progress.
Okay.
We go to court again in November for the other matter, but I think we will seek an earlier date to see if we can get bail for it.
And when you say seek an earlier date, would there be any kind of sense in your mind as to when that would be?
Only because it will take a couple of weeks to put the documents together and to try and get the date. But anywhere between like 3 and 4 weeks is kind of what we'll be looking at.
Okay.
So he'll not make some test.
So how is he?
He's good. He didn't see the description that he's fat. He has gotten fat.
So the food in jail is good?
Well, apparently, I guess because he's now resting. From what they were saying, he's known to work long hours, so I think he's resting and eating properly.
What did he say when the verdict was announced? Did you have a conversation with him?
I think just an ear-to-ear grin is really what we got. So
And what sort of support did he have in court and outside court? What was the scene like there?
The biggest I've ever seen. Biggest I've ever seen. So it's good. His fans are still hanging in there. Who's?
I understand there's a statement of some kind that he's made. Is that?
A statement.
Yeah.
I believe there is a press release from him. Very
Okay.
short
Okay.
document which speaks for itself. So.
In terms of the case for November, does the prospects look good?
We thought initially that the case that we just completed was the more difficult of the two cases because there was a purported IC witness. So as far as we're concerned, the highest mountain is now behind us.
Having been in communication with Kartel since the beginning to now, how do you think Adidja Palmer, the individual, has been changed as opposed to how do you think that what do you think it would mean for Vybz Kartel, the artist,
I think that's a question better directed to him.
towards him? Well, from what you've seen.
I think that there's a lot of frustration towards the system, and he feels that, you know, he really should be given a fair shake at a fair trial, and that's kind of where, you know, our head was originally. And I think that, you know, as with anybody, you know, you spend 3 years in custody, it must affect you, you know. But I suspect that you will hear it in his music when he's offered bail.
Okay. Is he being given special treatment in lockup?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. There was a situation last month where he was taken to the KPH.
Right.
What exactly was it that he was affected by?
It appears that he was having some chest pains, and he went and did an X-ray and a basic checkup. It seems that all is well. So.
Okay. And how can fans support him while he's in lockup? I mean, people have been coming to the court, but have they been disruptive or anything outside or causing any problem outside? Like what?
Not that I'm aware of. I did see an article that spoke of some incident outside, but I wasn't there, so I don't know what that is about. But I think that what he would really want from his fans is to just stay positive and continue supporting him and his music.